Yeah. All right. Alan, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. This is interesting. I'm usually behind the scenes, so being on the mic is weird. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Now you're in front of the scene. So, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do. I guess we can start with what you do as your career. It's a pretty cool career.
My name's Alan. I live here in Oklahoma City. I work for a news station, a TV station. I'm a newscast director. So whenever you guys, watch a newscast and you guys see all the video playing and all the camera switching and all that stuff, that's someone, pushing the button to make all that happen, and it's all live. So I do that. I just, I take camera 5, play this video, take this reporter, and tell this person where to go and all that stuff. And so, it's a good time. It's fun to do the live show, and it's fun to see the bloopers afterwards. It's not fun live, but afterwards it's pretty funny to watch.
Yeah. So how do you handle those bloopers live?
I just keep on rolling, man. Because we can't start over, so we just sometimes we get angry, sometimes we laugh, but we're just like, all right, well, we just gotta figure it out, and keep on rolling.
Yeah.
There's sometimes there's times where I know it's a blooper, but you would never know it's a blooper, and sometimes it's pretty obvious, hey, that's wrong. And
right.
So it's sometimes you just gotta laugh at yourself and just keep on rolling.
Absolutely. So how did you get into that industry?
I think it was in high school when I was doing the announcements. So we did a fake newscast announcement, hey, this is gonna happen on Friday. Hey, this the homecoming game, whatever. And students would volunteer to show up and read them. And so me and the class would do the behind the scenes stuff. And I just liked it. I was like, hey, I think I'm pretty good at this. So I went to college for it, and just through some context, I knew that I went through college. I, kind of got my foot in the door in a TV station in Dallas. And then I moved to Sherman, worked there for a while. And that's when I started kind of directing, when I learned how to direct. And so I officially became a director when I moved here 3 years ago.
Okay. Now, where did you grow up? Where'd you go to high school?
Sherman High School.
Sherman, Texas?
Sherman, Texas.
All right. Very cool.
Yeah, but I moved around a lot. So I'm actually from Connecticut.
Oh, you're from Connecticut?
Yeah,
really?
I'm from Connecticut, but I lived in El Salvador for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Were your parents missionaries or?
No, my family got separated when we were kids, and so my mom is from Argentina, my dad's from El Salvador.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my mom ended up going back to Argentina, and my dad and I would go visit her, which got really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So then my dad convinced her to move to El Salvador, and he built a house for us down there.
Whoa, that's really cool, man.
And so I lived down there my whole teenage years were
down
in El Salvador.
Okay, so how was it living in El Salvador? I mean, because you're born in America, right?
Yeah, I was born here, and I moved down there when I was 11. I was in the 5th grade, and so I think here it was huge culture shock, man, because I had never seen dirt roads or really poor. I thought we were poor in Connecticut, and when I got to El Salvador, it was no paved roads, houses, kind of falling apart, and I had a game remember those Game Boy Advances? I had one of those, and nobody knew what that was, and so it was weird, man, and so. Just living down there, getting used to different culture. People will love different things, and so I don't know how to explain it. So down there, if you had a car, and not a nice car, just 4 wheels and it goes forward, it's because you had money.
Right.
And so, like, you know, you either got around, you walked, you rode a bike, or horseback. And so there were other things called galetas, and there was like a wagon pulled by two bulls. I had never seen that in real
Yeah.
life. So it was kind of cool to see all that, but it was a big adjustment for me when I was a kid.
Yeah, I can imagine. And yeah, not living, not really knowing much about that culture and then having to be, put in there.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot. And then how many siblings do you have?
I have two. I have one brother and one sister. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so when did you move back to America?
I moved back here my junior year of high school. So that was 2010. Yeah, 2010. Yeah.
So how many years were you back in El Salvador?
But I want to say six or seven.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I finished. So in El Salvador, like middle school goes up to 9th grade. And so, like, I guess I finished. No, sorry. High school goes up to 9th grade. And then, like, 10th, 11th, and 12th are something called bachillerato. It's like a thing with, like, tech school. But it's 10th, 11th, and 12th. So, like, I started going to, like, bachillerato. And when I moved here, I guess the credits thankfully just transferred over. That they put me in as a junior and I didn't have to start over as a freshman. So I ended up graduating like a year later.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was fun. Like school down there was different. Because like in high school, we move around to go to each classroom. Down there, like the teachers go to you. And you just stay in one classroom the whole time.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, so like your classmates are like your classmates the entire day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
That's cool. And you said your dad built a house?
Yeah, my dad built a house down there.
Oh, that's pretty. Did you help him build it, any?
No, I am not construction savvy in any way.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you have reverse culture shock when you came back? Because you're like, now you're acclimated to El Salvador, come back to America, you're like, oh, now I have culture shock again.
Now that I think about it, probably. Like, looking back, because I still thought that, things that people did in El Salvador were things that people did here. And so, like, in El Salvador, like, we did a thing where, like, this is so funny now. Like if you were talking to a girl, like you would play this game of like calling her, but like hanging her up like right before she picks up. I don't know why that was a thing. But like both of you would play this game. Like she would call you, and like right before you pick up, she hangs up, and like it was a game of like who could like hang up faster, or like who could pick up the phone, like. If you picked up the phone, you lost, basically.
Okay. Did you try that here?
Yeah. I think I did it like twice. I was like, okay, people don't actually do this here.
You're like, why is this guy calling me and hanging up? He hates me.
Yeah, but there was a game that like everyone played down there. I don't know if they still do, but like there was a game where like if I called you and you picked up the phone, like I lost. And it was like, well, okay, bye.
That's pretty funny, man. Okay, so did you do any sports or anything like that in high school?
No, down in El Salvador, like soccer was like the main thing that everyone did, and because it's the easiest thing to play, you just a ball, and we would make a goal out of like rocks. We would just take two rocks and okay, that's the goal, and so anybody can like play it. I was never good at any sports. Like, I think that's the one thing where like I'm different than my whole family. Like all the men in my family are like good soccer players.
Yeah.
Like, except me, and so I think at like freshman year when like everyone was starting to get big and like everybody was starting to like really be athletic, and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me.
Right.
So I kind of. Yeah, when I came to high school and like here where like people have like weights and gyms and like, protein shakes. I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna play football or anything like that.
Right.
And so, yeah, I never played any sports in high school or college. I didn't like do anything athletic until I started doing jujitsu.
Yeah. So let's talk about that because you're very athletic now. You're a big, strong guy.
Thanks.
So how did you get into jiu-jitsu? What started that off?
I think the first time I did it was back in college. My friend was doing there was a 10th Planet gym back in Sherman.
Okay.
And so he had started doing the whole 10th Planet thing and like would never stop talking about it. You know, or, like, I was like, hey man, I've been training. And like, I'm always training. Like, I'm always there, always there. And I'm like, what are you even doing? And so he invited me one time. And, 10th Planet is all no-gi. So I just showed up in like shorts and a t-shirt. And, we did some rolling and like he taught me like an armbar or something like that. And it was fun, but like in college I was just broke. And like I went to a college that's like in the middle of nowhere. So like there's no like close places, right? So when I moved to Dallas, I've always wanted to like try martial art. That's just something I always wanted to try. So there was a place like 5 minutes from my house called Octagon MMA, and so I drove there. And I think I got lucky. The coach's name was Octavio Couto. I can't say the Brazilian name, but he was a super nice guy. And apparently, I didn't know it at the time, but he's like a legend in jiu-jitsu. He was like a 5th degree black belt when I met him.
Wow.
And so I started training there, and there was also a no-gi class. And like the first thing he taught us was like heel hooks. And,
Oh, nice.
And like, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a move that can like make your knee explode if you do it right.
Yeah, and not something they teach typically to people who are just starting out in jiu-jitsu.
I think because like I showed up to like an all levels class.
Yeah.
And so, I just did the thing. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Okay, cool. And
That's amazing.
And so, yeah, and then, I was like, this is cool. So I showed up the next day. And the next day was a gi class. I didn't know what a gi was. And so Octavio was there, and he was like, have you ever done gi? And I was like, I don't know what gi is. And so, yeah, they showed me a cheap gi. And then, I just started training there for like 6 months until I had to move to Sherman. And then my friend Marco, he opened up a gym in Prosper. And so I went to train with him up until purple belt. So Marco was the first person I ever rolled with. And then he became a coach.
Nice.
Yeah, so he was a super
That's
cool
awesome.
guy. Yeah.
So how many years have you been doing jiu-jitsu now?
I want to say close to 8.
8 years.
Yeah,
Nice.
close to 8 years.
8 years, purple belt. And then and that's where we met. We met at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
At the Forge.
At the Forge. Yeah, I love that place, man.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
So when you moved to Oklahoma City, how'd you end up at the Forge? A lot of jiu-jitsu gyms around the metro. What?
Yeah, so my friend Nick Redding, another black belt that I met at Octagon, he started teaching for a while at my friend Moko's gym. And when I told him that I was moving to Oklahoma City, he was like, hey, I know a couple gyms up there. So when you get settled in up there, text me where you're planning on going, and I'll tell you if it's legit or not. And so I got here and I just Googled, like the Forge was the first one that popped up. And, I Googled and, Professor Harper's photo showed up, and I was like, hey, do you know this guy? Do you know this shit? He's like, yeah, go there. Like, that's a great place. And I was like, okay. And so I went there on a Wednesday night to a Livingston's class. I was like, yeah, this place is cool because they all beat me up. I'm like, they're all really good here. And so, I went to that class and then signed up that same day. And, I've been there for like the past 3 years. I love that place.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think everyone there is like super good. Like, everyone there is super talented, super helpful.
Yeah, it's been awesome training there. And like you said, everyone's good and everyone's nice and hospitable. Let's talk about a little bit about how your tournament went. you just did a tournament this past weekend.
I
I'm not
did.
exactly sure when this episode will air, but
Okay, yeah.
you did this. You did a tournament in March.
I did,
2024.
yeah. I did. So, and my no-gi match was pretty bad. Like I got dosed, or I guess choked out pretty hard. I always do better in the gi. I think just because like the grips and stuff, I like doing the gi. So, in the gi, I got third. There were only 3 people in the division, but so I didn't get submitted, which for me is a win.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah, so I feel like I have a lot of trouble gaining weight, and so I always sign up for 160, but no one ever signs up for 160, so they always bump me up to 175.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, well, I need to gain some weight. But yeah, I did the 175 bracket, and I think I had like 2 or 3 matches, and one of them, I think I was just, at the end, I was just so tired that I couldn't actually like think.
Yeah.
And because I had the guy in like a good position to like sweep him. And the other thing, I was like, man, I am way too tired to like launch this dude.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to go compete. I kind of like challenging myself and seeing where I'm at. When people are actually like coming after you, I like to see where my technique is at, where I need to work, and where I like to win. Sure, I guess no one likes to lose, but like I think, for me at least, I just like going to try it out and see what happens.
Absolutely. And Ethan actually posted something on Instagram yesterday. He posted a photo. Ethan's one of the blue belts at our gym, very, very high level. He posted like a photo because he was at
He was at
Pans in Florida, and he posted a photo like it was like losing makes you relatable.
Yeah.
The reality is most people are going to lose at some point in their life. If you're doing jiu-jitsu, probably going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone personally with a perfect record in jiu-jitsu. So it's going to happen. So how many matches did you do?
I had 3 matches that day.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did no-gi. Yeah, I did no-gi, and then I signed up for the challenger, the absolute, up to 175. Well, I was like, they bumped me up to 175, and the challenger's already up to 175. So I was like, well, I might as well just give it a shot and see what happens.
How many people were in your challenger?
6. Yeah, like 6 people.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a pretty good bracket. They combined like the masters and the adults.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had like 6 or 7 guys.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Yeah, congrats on going there and getting a couple medals.
Yeah,
and,
thanks.
You know,
they made some hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. They're heavy and they're big.
Yeah, you too, man. You did good. I saw your matches. You did really good.
Thanks, man. I'm not proud of my first gi match that I did. I went in there and I was just
nobody's proud of their first match.
Yeah,
man.
but so I did no gi. I did. I got 2 no gi matches because the first one I won by the guy getting disqualified for grabbing my rash guard, and then the second one I got a head and arm choke. Is that what called head in arm or head in arm? I don't even know. Head and arm choke or whatever it's called.
Head in arm choke.
Yeah, head in arm. Head in arm choke. Yeah. I'm still new. I'm still learning all that stuff. So I get head and arm choke, and I lasted as long as I could. Yeah. And I could not get my hand in.
Dude, you lasted a lot longer than I thought you would.
Oh, you saw the no-gi one?
Yeah, I was right there. I was like, he's about to tap. Oh, he's not tapping. Oh, okay. I'm like.
My mom said I was turning blue in the face.
Oh,
I don't know if I actually was.
Well, I saw you like struggle, and I saw you trying to like dig in. I was like, well, maybe he has enough space. I'm like, oh no, wait, he left. Yeah. But you lasted a good minute.
And then my gi match, I actually rewatched that yesterday. Yeah, just the guy came out really hot and just wasn't ready for that kind of intensity. So. But I'll feel better for next time. And then the challenger, I ended up getting second place.
That's awesome, dude.
Which I was happy about that. So I ended up, winning my first match. Literally in like the last 2 seconds by submission, bow and arrow choke.
Dude, oh, bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that with it.
That was one I was one. It wasn't a very good bow and arrow. It was a pretty sloppy one, but at the end of the day, it got the job done.
It worked. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I was down one. I was down 1 point, and ended up getting to the back. Went for bow and arrow choke. Got in like last 2 seconds. Actually, me and Professor Steve thought I lost.
Oh, really?
And then they raised my hand up, and they're like, this is one of my.
That's the best one, man. They think you lost, but you actually won.
100%. And then won by points in the second one, I think 12-2, and then the last one ended up the guy. What did he have? He had like a gift wrap on there.
Yeah, gift wrap.
And he probably had that for 3 minutes straight, and I just kept trying to get out of it, kept fighting it.
Yeah.
The pressure was so intense.
Yeah.
I didn't tap because I was like, I'm not gonna tap. Like, I'm not gonna lose by submission in this final round. I was like, by the time he had me in the gift wrap for like 2 minutes, I was like, I'm probably not getting out of this. But I'm gonna keep fighting.
Yeah.
Try to collect his leg and go to half guard.
Yeah.
Couldn't really do it. But he that guy submitted everybody. Okay. That day except me, so I'll take that as a win.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you had like 5 matches?
6 matches total.
That's a long day, man.
It was, and actually, me and Daniel, another guy at the gym, he ended up getting third in Challenger. We were the last 2 matches of the day. Like they're rolling up all the mats around us.
Oh, really?
And like we're just still going. Yeah.
Wow.
Because we were like at 4 something. So like we were the last 2.
My last one was like at 4:30, and everyone's like packing up, leaving. I'm still there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
it was fun though.
That's awesome, man. That's a long day competing. That's awesome.
Yeah, but so have you done competitions before? Or was this?
Yeah, I competed. So like I've never won gold. I think I've competed more at purple belt than I have at any other belt. So I've done like the AGFs here, and I've done the AGFs in Tulsa. I've never done like Pans or Worlds or anything like that. But yeah, I always try to do the local ones and see what happens. I actually did submit a guy at AGF Tulsa a couple years ago. That was a fun one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. So let's talk to you a little bit about, you have this, you started this new Instagram account called, what's it called again?
Oh, yeah, Subpar Grappling.
Subpar Grappling. And that's kind of bringing awareness to cerebral palsy and jiu-jitsu and kind of everything you're going through with that. So let's talk a little about that journey that you've had with that.
Yeah. Well, so I guess about the name. The name is kind of a joke that me and my friend made a while back with Fernandula. We were doing some drills at the forge one time. I forgot what we were doing, but it was something that we knew. And so we were doing the drill really well. And she was like, yeah, we're doing really good in these drills. We should make some DVDs. And I was like, yeah, we should make these DVDs to show off our subpar drilling.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, what are we going to call it? I'm like, that's what we're going to call it. Subpar drilling. And so ever since then, like I always had this kind of, it was a joke for me. And so when I started the Instagram account, I just called it Subpar Grappling. I just thought it was funny. But
it is funny, yeah.
But yeah, I just, I try to Google or YouTube different, like, I've YouTube like jiu-jitsu with disabilities or something, like just to see like if there's other people who like do it, and I find some, but not a whole lot. And so I don't want to call it like a market, but like I feel like it's something that's like untapped that people don't see very often.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I decided to quit, like kind of share my experience and just my growth and my growth in jiu-jitsu with disabilities, and hopefully inspire somebody who's like on the fence about trying jiu-jitsu or trying some discipline that they don't think they'll be able to do it because some limitation that they have. And so yeah, that's kind of why I started it. Just to show people that it can be done. it might be hard. Jiu-jitsu is just hard for everybody, but I think a lot of people, me included, hold themselves back a lot because they think they might not be able to or whatever. And I had those thoughts when I was a white belt. I'd see people do like a triangle. I didn't think I'd be able to do a triangle. And so, I'd watch someone like, okay, grab your shin and pull it this way. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm that flexible.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think my body moves that way. But, with slowly and, with practice, and I think I've had a lot of professors who have helped me a lot figure out how I can move and what works for me. I've been able to kind of figure out my own system that I try to improve upon. And so, yeah, I think anybody with practice can accomplish, different things that they want to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you're a beast on the mats. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks, man.
Your reputation precedes you. So
Thanks.
So for people who don't know, because I feel like a lot of people don't know a lot about cerebral palsy. Probably. Yeah. What is cerebral palsy? Sorry, I'm not even saying it right. I can't even pronounce it right.
Yeah, cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy. What is that?
So it's a disability that like affects people's motor functions, basically. And like each case is different, and so what happens is either your muscles will tense up really bad, or they will be loose to the point where like you can't really do anything with them. And so a lot of people with cerebral palsy are like in wheelchairs because their legs aren't strong enough to hold them up. And so in my case, my body tenses up real quick, really bad. So like my left side is my bad side. It like tenses up really, really bad to where it's hard to like relax my muscles. And so flexibility is an issue. Sometimes I like slur my words. So sorry for the podcast.
No, you sound great, man.
If you're listening. But yeah, so basically I think it's diagnosed when people are babies. And so I think I know for me, I had a lack of oxygen when I was kind of in the womb and different things happened. And so I don't want to like narrow it down to like brain damage, but I guess for me, that's kind of what it is. It's like I don't know what part of the brain it's called, but that kind of got damaged when I was born. And so, yeah, it's diagnosed in babies, and I think my dad recognized it. When you put babies down on a bed, they kind of squirm and move around. But when he would put me on a bed, I would just kind of just sit there tight and like not move until someone moved me. And so my dad was like, "Yeah, we gotta go check this out." And so yeah, that's when I was diagnosed with CP at a very young age, and I had to go through a lot of therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and all that stuff.
Yeah. So when you first jumped into jiu-jitsu, did you have like, was that one of the things you're like, I don't want to do that or did you just like, I'm gonna go for it?
I've always I always wanted to try martial arts, even as a kid. Like I went to this I think a friend of mine did karate when I was a kid, and like, how they throw like birthday parties and all that stuff. I went to one of them. I just thought it was fun to like, kick the bags and all that stuff. But I was very, I guess, protected as a kid because like, as a kid I wasn't like very strong or very like athletic, or like you could like tap me and I'd fall over. Like I was very uncoordinated. And so, but I always wanted to try a martial art. And so whenever I moved to Dallas and went to Octagon, yeah, I just kind of said, you know what, I just give this a try. And I don't know if I'll make it very far, but whatever, I'll just try it. And yeah, I just liked it. And I think the reason I like jiu-jitsu so much is because like there's no like one way to do things. Like there's a million different ways you can do the same thing. And so I remember one of my classes back at Octagon. This is when it like clicked for me. So we were doing like X chokes, and so if you don't know, like an X choke is when you grab like the lapels and you just kind of like choke them out. And so I couldn't get my hands into the gi because like my hands are just so tight, where like I can't loosen them up. And so my coach came over and he was like, "Oh, it's okay, just go this way." And I did it. And I was like, "You can do that?" He's like, "Yeah, like it works."
Yeah.
And so that's when it clicked. I'm like, "So you're telling me that I can just spend time figuring out what I can do, what works for me, and then I'll be able to be somewhat good at this." He's like, "Yeah, that's what everybody does." And like that's what like sold it for me. And so yeah, like that's why I do it so much, trying to figure out what what works for me.
No, that's awesome. I think Austin was teaching one day, and he's talking. It was the foundational class, and he was talking about how jiu-jitsu a lot of time is more art than it is science.
Yeah.
Because like, sometimes things you got to figure out your own way. You got to figure out your own path. You got to figure out your own methods. And it sounds like you totally have, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I'm still learning. I haven't figured it all out, but there's a lot of stuff that I do that it's weird to people, of like how I do it. And I'm like, hey, I just do it.
There you go.
And so and there's things where like I make jokes about where I can't be wrist locked because like my hands are already like this. So everyone tries to wrist lock me, and I'm just like, nah, man.
Hey, you got some advantages, dude.
I'm like, nah, man, that doesn't work. Sorry, dude. So just stuff like that where, and again, I think I work with Professor Steve a lot, and I do a lot of privates with him, and he's helped me a lot to kind of figure out how I can move my body better to make different positions work for me. And so, yeah, I think I just been very lucky that I've had really good people, sit down and be patient with me and help me figure this out.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. Yeah, it's awesome. No, I think anyone who rolls with you definitely knows that they're rolling with someone who is very good at what they're doing and knows what to do.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
So let's also talk about a little bit about your writing, because that's something that is pretty big, that you're pretty into, is doing some writing and doing some apologetic writing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's I never thought I'd be a writer, because I hated writing in college. But yeah, it's just something that I've found kind of calling to. Just I guess I believe I believe in Jesus. I believe that He's the way, the truth, and life. No one gets to the Father except through Him. And whenever I would try to share that with people, the questions would always come up of like, well, why Jesus, or why Christianity? Why can't all religions be true? And for the longest time, a lot of those answers were like, well, I don't know. I don't know. And I remember watching a YouTube video of, I think the video was called like, why is Jesus the only way? And I was like, well, I don't know. So like I clicked at it, and it was Dr. Frank Turk, I think, just Christian apologist, and he gave an answer, and I was like, oh, so there are answers to these questions, and,
Right?
And that's when I kind of took this deep dive into apologetics and like kind of studying Christianity and like the history of it and other religions and other, just so I can try to answer. I think these are valid questions that people have that sometimes they can't find great answers for, and so I just try to provide that for people.
That's awesome, man. So what's your faith journey like? Like, when did you give your life to Christ? And like
man, I want to say officially when I got baptized, I think 2 years ago here at my church at OKC Community.
Okay.
So I want to say that's the official day where I like made my faith kind of public. I always kind of went to church on and off. Like, I did when I lived in El Salvador, Catholicism was big, or is big, and so I did my first communion, all that stuff. And like I was an altar boy for a while, but I was never like fully committed to it, and so I think, and there was a while where I had like a lot of like resentment towards God about like being disabled and all that stuff. And so there was a while where like I said I believe, but like I really didn't believe.
Yeah.
And so college is like that where I said like, oh yeah, I believe in Jesus, but like not really though. And so yeah, I think when I first moved here was when I started taking it seriously. And I think when I was in Sherman, I did like a small group. But I was still only doing the small group, and a lot of people were reading like the Old Testament because they had never read the whole thing before. And like in my head, I was like, that's such a good idea. I'm just gonna read the whole Bible, whatever. And so I think from the time I was in Sherman to when I got baptized, I spent like, I'm really bad at reading, so like I do a lot of audiobooks. Like thank God for audiobooks. And so it took me like 2 years to like read the entire Bible, and then I got baptized. So I spent a lot of like on and off. Like, yes, I believe. Not really though, because I'm mad at God. But okay, maybe he's real. I don't know. To like, okay, I should probably commit to this. If I do believe it, I should probably read the book that I say I believe and know what it says. And then after I did that, was when I took the deep dive into apologetics.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So, how did you move from your anger at God for having to battle CP to where you are now? Because you're such a joyous person, you're such a happy person. It feels like a lot of times, your disability it's not the biggest part of your life. The biggest part of your life is how joyous you are. Your writing, jujitsu, your career. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So how'd you move from that resentment towards, like, all right, I trust in God?
Well, like to be, I guess, fully transparent, like I still struggle with that resentment.
Okay.
Like it's not fully gone. Like I still have that from time to time. And, I still get angry from time to time. And, even with like jujitsu, I still get angry from time to time that I can't do. It sounds like my body can't keep up with like my brain, because sometimes I know what to do, but my body won't let me do it. And so like I still have that resentment at times. I still have that anger. And so, I wouldn't say I'm at the point where like, oh yeah, I fully accepted this and this is like a blessing, and I'm gonna use this to, to like share the gospel with it. Like I wouldn't say I'm there. I'd say, I moved. I think I've seen God in different areas of my life where things that happened that like there's no way it could be a coincidence. Like there's just no way it could be a coincidence. And I think I think for me at least, a lot of people say the same thing, that like I'm a joyful person and my disability is not the biggest thing about me. I think that's all God. And so like I think my joy that people say I have, I really think it does come from God, because I did deal with like a lot of like depression and anger, when I was a lot younger. And so I really think God has like flipped that around, where there's no way I could do that like by myself. And so that's kind of how it happened.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate your honesty with that, because the reality is, we live in a world that's broken and it's hard, and things don't always go our way, and tragedies are still very, very real, very part of the world. So I appreciate your honesty and being able to be vulnerable like that.
Yeah, and it's just I think at some point I think being real is like I like apologetics a lot. I like studying a lot, but I think sometimes just being honest with people is kind of the best way to get the message across. That like yeah, I believe in Jesus, but like no, my life isn't perfect, and so just because logically Jesus is the conclusion, it doesn't always mean that like emotionally I'm gonna always feel that and I think that's real for people.
100%. Reminds me of that the verse where this man's talking to Jesus and he's saying like, I believe, but help my unbelief.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I understand this, or I understand like Jesus is Lord, or I understand like, he can help me through all this, but also it doesn't always feel real.
Yeah.
So like we have to be met. And that's what the beauty about Jesus is. He just meets us where we are,
I think I started doing like a little series of like the 7 I ams of Jesus.
Oh, nice.
And so I think there's I've always liked the Gospel of John because that's when like in that book Jesus really comes out. It's like, hey, I am this like I am God. I am like the way to heaven, and I've always liked studying that gospel, and so yeah, just for Easter, like how Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life, and I really need to memorize these chapters and verses. I'm bad at that.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, I think that whole story is cool, but it's actually really weird because the same words of Jesus that Lazarus is sick, and just like what, let's wait a couple days, and like we read that as if that's normal, but like that's not normal. That's weird, and I think when he goes there, like Lazarus has been dead for like a few days, and so he goes to his grave and that's where we find the shortest verse in the Bible, like Jesus wept. And if you read the story, he brings Lazarus back. And so to me, it's weird that like Jesus starts crying, like knowing that he's gonna bring his friend back to life in like 5 minutes. And so it's like, well, why is he crying? And so from what I've understood in different sermons and stuff like that, is that death was never supposed to be a thing in the first place. Like nobody was supposed to die, like from the very beginning. And so I think Jesus is like crying at the reality of death, and so that's why he starts weeping, because he knows what could be, and that's when he says, "Hey, I'm the resurrection and the life." And
sure.
So yeah, I just love that story because I think it's super cool and that's weird to me, but yeah, I like it.
No, it is cool, and I think it shows the one of the words I learned in college, hypostatic union of Christ, right? Like that.
Yeah.
He's 100% this divine being, and he's also 100% a human man.
Yeah.
He's a 200% person.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense, but he is, and it shows like he loved, like Jesus loved Lazarus, was his friend, and it's sad that to see him gone, right?
Gone, yeah.
So I think it perfectly shows Jesus is also human, like us.
Yeah.
But he's also divine at the same time, right?
Yeah, which,
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. No, it's mind-blowing stuff. So, but yeah, I love it. I love that you're diving deep into scripture. And what church are you a part of?
OKC community. I feel like, God just guided me to 2 different places through Google, because I just Googled.
Nice.
I just Googled, churches near me. And, that was the first one. I was like, all right, I guess I'll go there. And I met my friend Danny, because I didn't know where to park. And he was like, yeah, you just park over there. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that is one thing about that church parking is kind of weird.
Yeah, because
that area.
Yeah, it's across the street, and like the Tower Theater's there, and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's a great place. I've met some great people there. I've made some great friendships there, and I've met some very helpful spiritual leaders there. So I love that church a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So, anything else you want to talk about? Anything else come to mind?
So you brought up just faith and stuff like that. So do you mind if I share the gospel here with like? I guess if how many people listen? I'm not trying to put your.
I don't know. We don't have a ton of listeners, but we have a few. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering because one of people's questions is what about the one who doesn't know or whatever?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so
Feel free.
I'm just asking because however many people are listening, it's well, they're about to know. So
yeah, let's hear it.
But yeah, I think just from a different approach. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple months ago, and we were talking about plugging into the cloud to live longer or live forever.
Yeah. And
he was asking me if I would do it, if I had the chance to plug into the cloud, Matrix style, would I do it? And I said no. And he said, why? Well, because I already have my ticket to eternal life through Jesus. And so I think, I think a lot of people share the gospel, if you were to die today, how sure are you that you would go to heaven? And, that's awesome, but, I kind of like to approach it a different way. And so I think everyone deep down knows that, death is real. And we all have, an expiration date. And so all these people like Elon and Jeff Bezos and others are trying to figure out how not to die. And they're spending billions and billions of dollars of well, maybe if I digitize myself or whatever that means, I can live forever. But that's what Jesus offers everyone is eternal life, complete forgiveness of whatever you've done, complete forgiveness of your sins, and you can live forever with him in heaven. And so I think no one else offers you that kind of deal where Jesus takes your bad stuff and you get all the good stuff. There's no one that offers you that. And so it's well, why should we believe Jesus? It's well, because he offers you eternal life, and he's the one who pulled it off. He died and showed back up. Nobody else has done. There's no religious leader who has died and showed back up except Jesus. And so I think that's why you should look into him and take it seriously, because he pulled it off in space time. This happened. And so that's why regardless of my doubts or my anger or whatever, we can hold on to this historical fact that Jesus did die, he did come back, and that eternal life is offered to you. So yeah,
100%. That's awesome, man. Appreciate you sharing that. That's definitely something that everyone needs to hear, right?
Yeah.
Jesus is the way. He loves you. He died on the cross for your sins and rose on the third day, and he's coming back. So.
Yeah. I think that's all I got, unless you want to ask me anything else.
Man, that's good. I think this is a great conversation, man. You're a great professional in your career, an incredible jiu-jitsu practitioner, an apologist, and all-around great human being. So, man, thank you so much for coming on today, sharing a little bit about your story, and look forward to seeing you next time on the mat.
Yeah, man. Look forward to seeing you too. I hope this helps somebody.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.